Now, if you will turn in your agenda back to the first page, and we will cover items 2.1 through 2.8, all of which are first readings, which require that the proposal be read. Of course, these will be considered two more times. I don't think you're probably going to want to discuss these in any length through the hour, but we'll have them, and we'll have to move them forward if it is your desire. So we're ready now for the first one, ordinance 14-13. Someone want to make a motion?
So moved.
And a second? Now, Ms. Connie, if you'll read that.
Mr. Willis.
Ordinance 14-13, an ordinance amending the fiscal year 2014 annual budget for the city of Springfield by amending certain general fund budgets. Whereas it is necessary to amend the city of Springfield annual budget for fiscal year 2014 in order to meet the requirements of the city charter. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of Springfield, Tennessee, that the city of Springfield annual budget for fiscal year 2014 is hereby amended to make necessary changes to expenditures within the general fund departments as set forth in Exhibit A attached. All ordinances, resolutions, and policies in conflict herewith are hereby rescinded to the extent of the conflict only.
I have some comments, but we'll wait till everybody gets back on this particular item.
You have to go fast. Wrong, I go fast, wrong.
Too fast and you too slow. Which one is it?
I can't find the alderman. You've got to cut his check. All right. We ready now to consider action on this?
Yes, sir.
All right. We have a motion and a
Move for
second.
approval.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? Paul?
Mayor, this is just one minor detail that we have to work out. In the, I overestimated the amount of expenditures we'd have in the golf course this year. We're always about 20 or 25 days behind on the information we get from the golf course, and I thought I was managing that budget pretty tight, but we actually finished a little over budget, and so we're $10,399 over, but we were $50,000 approximately under budget in Parks and Recreation. So I'm changing 6 line items in parks, reducing that by $10,399 and applying that $10,399 to golf course so that everything balances out.
All right. You've heard the explanation. If you would favor the approval of this ordinance, vote aye. If you oppose, vote no.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Snyder. Carneal.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Passed 6-0.
2.2 covers ordinance 14-14. Is there a motion
So moved.
and a second?
Second.
Please read it, Ms. Connie.
Ordinance 14-14, an ordinance rescinding ordinance 08-01 in its entirety and amending Title 12 of the Springfield Municipal Code by deleting Chapter 1 entitled Building Codes in its entirety and substituting a new Chapter 1 entitled Building Codes to read as set forth in Exhibit A attached. Whereas the Board of Mayor and Aldermen desires to update the building codes of the City of Springfield, and whereas it is necessary to adopt a building code establishing the minimum regulations governing the conditions and maintenance of all property, buildings, and structures by providing the standards for supplied utilities and facilities and other physical things and conditions essential to ensure that structures are safe, sanitary, and fit for occupation and use, the condemnation of building and structures unfit for human occupancy and use, the demolition of such structures, and whereas it is necessary to adopt a residential building code regulating the design, construction, quality of materials, erection, installation, alteration, repair, location, relocation, replacement, addition to, use or maintenance of 1 and 2 family dwellings and townhouses not more than 3 stories in height, and providing for the issuance of permits and collection of fees therefore. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of Springfield, Tennessee as follows. Section 1, Ordinance 08-01 is hereby rescinded in its entirety, and Chapter 12 of the Springfield Municipal Code is hereby amended by deleting Chapter 1 entitled Building Codes in its entirety and substituting a new Chapter 1 entitled Building Codes to read as set forth in Exhibit A attached. Section 2, all ordinances, resolutions, and policies in conflict herewith are hereby rescinded to the extent of the conflict only.
Ordinance 14-14 has been read aloud, has a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Paul?
Mayor, I think I can give you a little rundown of why we're doing this and why we got so many codes at the same time. You may or may not know that the state of Tennessee establishes codes that are adopted, and we have to be within so many years of the codes that they adopt. So everything we're on to right now is 2006, Mark? Yes, sir. So they're going to 2012 on most everything?
They haven't decided what the state is going to do yet. We have to stay within 7 years of the residential code. That's the
Okay.
state law.
Well, on all these,
2009 IRC.
okay. Well, right now, what we're trying to do is just get everybody, go right to the transition from the 2006 to the 2012. There are really no significant changes in the code. And with the exception of the energy code, that we're going to go with 2009 because we think the 2012 is too burdensome. And the state, they're going to 2009, aren't they? State of Tennessee? Energy code.
The state has adopted the 2009 energy code as part of the residential code. And we have to stay within 7 years. All the jurisdictions around has adopted the 12. We were kind of holding out to wait and see if they would adopt it in 2015, and they have no plans to do that. So we have to go to the 12, which would make us compliant. We do all our codes all at the same time.
So that's the reason for it. So all of these will change to the 2012 with the exception of the energy code, which will be 2009. Right now, everything is 2006.
So what you're referring to is what's included on items 2.2 through 2.8.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, we have a motion and a second. It has been read. Any discussion? Call the roll, please.
Carnell?
Aye.
Head?
Yes.
Sneed?
Aye.
Mason? Snyder? Hubbard?
Aye.
Pass 6-0.
We move to item 2.3, which is ordinance 14-15 on first reading. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Ms. Watson, will you read that, please?
Ordinance 14-15, an ordinance rescinding ordinance 09-01 in its entirety and amending Title 12 of the Springfield Municipal Code entitled Building, Utility, etc. Codes by deleting Chapter 2 entitled Plumbing Code in its entirety and substituting a new Chapter 2 to read as set forth in Exhibit A attached. Whereas code officials recognize the need for a modern, up-to-date plumbing code addressing the design and installation of plumbing systems through requirements emphasizing performance, and whereas the International Plumbing Code is designed to meet these needs through model code regulations that safeguard the public health and safety in all communities, large and small, and whereas a comprehensive plumbing code establishes minimum regulations for plumbing using prescriptive and performance-related provisions, and whereas it is founded on broad-based principles that make possible the use of new materials and new plumbing designs. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of Springfield, Tennessee as follows. Section 1, Ordinance 09-01 is hereby rescinded in its entirety, and Title 12 of the Springfield Municipal Code entitled Building, Utility, etc. Codes is hereby amended by deleting Chapter 2 entitled Plumbing Code in its entirety and substituting a new Chapter 2 to read as set forth in Exhibit A attached. Section 2, all ordinances, resolutions, and policies in conflict herewith are hereby rescinded to the extent of the conflict only.
Ordinance 14-15 has been read aloud. It has a motion and a second. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Snyder. Carnell.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Mason.
Aye.
Pass 6-0.
We move to 2.4. This is ordinance 14-16. Is there a motion?
So, second.
All right, Ms. Watson, if you'll read this.
Ordinance 14-16, an ordinance rescinding ordinance 09-03 in its entirety and amending Title 12 of the Springfield Municipal Code entitled Building, Utility, etc. Codes by deleting Chapter 4 of entitled Mechanical Code in its entirety and substituting a new Chapter 4 to read as set forth in Exhibit A attached. Whereas code officials recognize the need for a modern, up-to-date mechanical code addressing the design and installation of mechanical systems, emphasizing performance, and whereas the International Mechanical Code is designed to meet these needs through model code regulations that safeguard the public health and safety in all communities, large and small. And whereas this comprehensive mechanical code establishes minimum regulations for mechanical systems used in prescriptive and performance-related provisions, and whereas it is founded on broad-based principles that make possible the use of new materials and new mechanical system designs. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of Springfield, Tennessee as follows. Section 1, Ordinance 09-03 is hereby rescinded in its entirety, and Title 12 of the Springfield Municipal Code, entitled Building, Utility, etc. Codes, is hereby amended by deleting Chapter 4, entitled Mechanical Code, in its entirety, and substituting a new Chapter 4 to read as set forth in Exhibit A attached. Section 2, all ordinances, resolutions, and policies in conflict herewith are hereby rescinded to the extent of the conflict only.
All right. Ordinance 14-16 has been read aloud. It has a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, call the roll, please.
Mason.
Aye.
Ellis. Excuse me. Sneed.
Aye.
Carneal.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Snyder. Passed 6-0.
2.5 is ordinance 14-17 for first reading. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Ms. Watson, will you read it, please?
We need a second.
Oh, excuse me, did I get a second?
Second.
Okay, now will you read it, please?
Ordinance 14-17, an ordinance rescinding ordinance 08-02 in its entirety and amending Chapter 12 of the Springfield Municipal Code by deleting Chapter 7 entitled Property Maintenance Code in its entirety and substituting a new Chapter 7 entitled Property Maintenance Code to read as set forth in Exhibit A attached. Whereas the Board of Mayor and Aldermen desires to adopt a new property maintenance code of the City of Springfield, and whereas it is necessary to adopt a new property maintenance code regulating and governing the conditions and maintenance of all property, buildings, and structures by providing the standards for supplied utilities and facilities and other physical things and conditions essential to ensure that structures are safe, sanitary, and fit for occupation and use, and the condemnation of buildings and structures unfit for human occupancy and uses, and the demolition of such existing structures within the City of Springfield, and providing for the issuance of permits and collection of fees. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of Springfield, Tennessee as follows. Section 1, Ordinance 08-02 is hereby rescinded in its entirety, and Title 12 of the Springfield Municipal Code is hereby amended by deleting Chapter 7 entitled Property Maintenance Code in its entirety and substituting a new Chapter 7 entitled Property Maintenance Code to read as set forth in Exhibit A attached. Section 2, all ordinances, resolutions, and policies in conflict herewith are hereby rescinded to the extent of the conflict only.
All right, you've heard ordinance 14-17 read aloud. You've made a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Snyder. Aye. Carneal.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Mason.
Aye.
Passed 6-0.
2.6 is refers to ordinance 14-18 on first reading. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
Ms. Watson, will you read this proposed ordinance?
Okay, ordinance 14-18, an ordinance rescinding ordinance 12-02 in its entirety and amending Title 12 of the Springfield Municipal Code entitled Building, Utility, etc. Codes by deleting Chapter 12 entitled Energy Conservation Code in its entirety and substituting a new Chapter 12 to read as set forth in Exhibit A attached. Whereas code officials recognize the need for a modern, up-to-date energy conservation code addressing the design of energy-efficient building envelopes and installation of energy-efficient mechanical lighting, and power systems through requirements emphasizing performance. And whereas the International Energy Conservation Code is designed to meet these needs through model code regulations that will result in optimal utilization of fossil fuel and non-depletable resources in all communities, large and small. And whereas this comprehensive energy conservation code establishes minimum regulations for energy efficient buildings, usually prescriptive and performance-related provisions, and whereas it is founded on broad-based principles that make possible the use of new materials and new energy-efficient designs. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of Springfield, Tennessee as follows. Section 1, Ordinance 12-02 is hereby rescinded in its entirety, and Title 12 of the Springfield Municipal Code entitled Building, Utility, etc. Codes is hereby amended by deleting Chapter 12 entitled Energy Conservation Code in its entirety and substituting a new Chapter 12 to read as set forth in Exhibit A attached. Section 2, all ordinances, resolutions, and policies in conflict herewith are hereby rescinded to the extent of the conflict only.
All right, you've heard ordinance 1418 read aloud. It has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
On the Energy Conservation Code, is this going to be for, I guess, all new construction? You would try to get building designs and materials to do that. What about remodeling? If you had an older existing house, what is the issue regarding a remodel job?
Mr. Mark Fields from the Codes Department will attempt to answer that.
Right, the energy code applies to renovations, alterations to existing buildings. So if you go in and you renovate your house and you replace the windows in your house, the code would require you to get code compliant windows. That is the building code and the energy code go together.
I mean,
Simple repairs do not apply. In historic homes, there's exceptions to that. But basically, normally, when you do a renovation, addition, a renovation, they would go to the new code, bring it up to the standard.
Are there other questions?
No.
All right, please call the roll.
Head.
Yes.
Carnell.
Aye.
Snyder.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Has 6-0.
All right, we move now to page 2. And ordinance 14-19, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Ms. Watson will read that in its entirety, please.
Ordinance 14-19, an ordinance rescinding ordinance 06-36 and 10-12 in their entirety and amending Title 7 of the Springfield Municipal Code entitled Fire Protection and Fireworks by deleting Chapter 2 entitled Fire Code in its entirety and substituting a new Chapter 2 to read as set forth in Exhibit A attached. Whereas it has become necessary for the city of Springfield to update its fire codes to be consistent with those adopted by the state of Tennessee. Now therefore be it ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of Springfield, Tennessee as follows. Section 1, Ordinance 06-36 and 10-12 are hereby rescinded in their entirety, and Title 7 of the Springfield Municipal Code entitled Fire Prevention and Fireworks is hereby amended by deleting Chapter 2 entitled Fire Code in its entirety and substituting a new Chapter 2 to read as set forth in Exhibit A attached. Section 2, all ordinances, resolutions, and policies in conflict herewith are hereby rescinded to the extent of the conflict only.
Thank you. Any discussion? Please call the roll.
Hubbard.
Aye.
Sneed.
Aye.
Snyder. Carnell.
Aye.
Mason.
Aye.
Head.
Yes.
Ellis. Has 7-0.
2.8 is to discuss and possibly act on ordinance 14-20 on first reading. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, Ms. Connie, if you'll read this.
Ordinance 14-20, an ordinance rescinding ordinance 09-02 in its entirety and amending Title 19 of the Springfield Municipal Code entitled Electricity and Gas by deleting Chapter 3 entitled Gas Code in its entirety and substituting a new Chapter 3 to read as set forth in Exhibit A attached. Whereas code officials recognize the need for modern, up-to-date fuel gas code addressing the design and installation of fuel gas systems and gas-fired appliances through requirements emphasizing performance. And whereas the International Fuel Gas Code is designed to meet these needs through model code regulations that safeguard the public health and safety in all communities, large and small. Whereas this comprehensive fuel gas code establishes minimum regulations for fuel gas systems and gas-fired appliances using prescriptive and performance-related provisions. And whereas it is founded on broad-based principles that make possible the use of new materials and new fuel gas systems and appliance designs. Now therefore, be it ordained by the Board of Mayor and Aldermen of Springfield, Tennessee as follows. Section 1, Ordinance 09-02 is hereby rescinded in its entirety, and Title 19 of the Springfield Municipal Code entitled Electricity and Gas is hereby amended by deleting Chapter 3 entitled Gas Code in its entirety and substituting a new Chapter 3 to read as set forth in Exhibit A attached. Section 2, all ordinances, resolutions, and policies in conflict herewith are hereby rescinded to the extent of the conflict only.
All right, so you've heard the reading of ordinance 1420. You have moved and seconded this item. Is there any discussion? Please call the roll.
Carnell?
Aye.
Head?
Yes.
Sneed?
Aye.
Mason?
Aye.
Snyder? Ellis?
Aye.
Hubbard?
Aye.
Passed 7-0.
All right, that concludes our agenda with the exception of the city manager's report.
All right, thank you, Mayor. Just want to announce that I'll be on vacation starting tomorrow morning, and I'll be back Thursday, September 4th.
This meeting wore you out.
So, I'm more than ready for a vacation. This is good. So, of course, Miss Gina will be in charge in my absence. Also, I did want to let you know that we've been interviewing for the finance director, city recorder position. David Crane, I've appointed him acting finance director and city recorder, and Dave's doing a good job. We're still going to try a few more interviews if we can. We have interviewed 5 people for the director of planning position, and we know that we've advised everybody that will not be filled until after October 1st. Also, we've got RFPs out for the golf course. We've got talked to 10 different companies, including Billy Casper Golf. So we've already had a few companies come in to take a look at the golf course. So we'll be getting the RFPs September 10th and reviewing those, and then possibly reducing the number to a number to the interview. I forgot to put the quarterly reports out. I'll do that tonight before I leave. I'll send them to you electronically and give you a paper copy as well. Also, we received a petition from the folks who live on Old Greenbrier Pike asking to reduce the speed limit there, especially people have to back out on Old Greenbrier Pike. As you know, the standard city speed limit, if it's not posted otherwise, is 30 miles per hour. I think it's 40 out there. And so the traffic committee will review that and come back and make a recommendation to the board at the September meeting. Also, we have a company that is going to relocate into the North Industrial Park. Things are going well. We anticipate that this will come to fruition. There has been an issue. They wanted fiber extended out there. They've approached Comcast about that. Comcast has not been resolving this issue on the pole attachment agreement, and they've been stating that, well, because they haven't resolved anything with the city, that they can't put anything on poles. So I think there are other options for the company and people in the North Industrial Park, but just wanted to say that this Comcast issue goes on, and asked Robert to talk to the attorney and see if we just need to get these people into court. But did want to advise you of that. And I think it's really important to get fiber out in the North Industrial Park, no matter what we have to do, even if we have to work something out with Comcast in the interim. But I think it's important for everybody out there.
Well said. Is there anything further? I do want to recognize Mr. Tony Phelps, Director of Parks and Rec, for the great job that in his dual role as Director of Parks and Rec and also as coach. I think he's kind of talked a little bit about a signing bonus for next year, so y'all may he's saying no, but that's the word I've heard, so we'll take that up later. Is there anything further? We stand adjourned.